I'd like to call our Hamilton County Board of Election meeting to order. Today is February the 11th, 2022, and we're calling the meeting to order about 10:04. And I'd like us to stand for the pledge, and also anyone in here who has served our country, could you lead us in the prayer? The allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you. Okay, everyone should have, the board should have received the minutes from the last meeting. That was January the 11th, 2022. Is there any changes or corrections on the minutes?
Actually, I found one before the meeting, and I think that's just a minor misspelling. I think with that correction having been made, I'll move approval of the meeting minutes.
Second.
Any more discussion? Any more changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. And I'd like to also thank everyone on the board for their flexibility in being able to make this meeting on this date rather than the regular meetings that we have. So thank you for your flexibility. Next on the agenda is the certification of the partisan candidates for the May 3rd primary election ballot. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes, good morning.
Right.
Today we'll be presenting to you partisan candidate petitions that were filed for the county executive offices and judicial offices. I just want to note that due to the pending litigation surrounding the redistricting, the General Assembly is giving the Secretary of State the authority to postpone the certification for partisan petitions for the State House, State Senate, and State Central Committee. So those petitions will be presented to you at your next board meeting on March 8th, as the current certification deadline is March 9th. Of course, that's all subject to change pending the outcome of the litigation. So this morning you have a spreadsheet in your packet entitled May 3rd, 2022 Primary Election, Hamilton County Candidates List. Again, this is the list of candidates that have partisan candidates that have filed for county executive office and judicial races. It's a one-page document. Staff finds those petitions to be sufficient and recommends certification.
I just have one question. So, as most of us know, there's an independent candidate who has filed, I think. I know this is partisan candidates. Did we already do that, or we do that at a later date?
We do that at a later date.
Because the independent date is later, correct?
Correct.
What is that date? Do you know off the top of your head?
The filing deadline is, I believe, the day before the primary, so May 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
This year. And the certification deadline's not till July, but historically the board certifies the end of May.
Perfect, thank you. All right, with that, I will move a certification of the Hamilton County candidates for judicial and executive countywide offices.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
There were two petitions for county executive offices that staff found to be insufficient. They are listed on the insufficient spreadsheet that's in your packet. The first candidate listed that filed for commissioner had insufficient number of required signatures. So that petition did not contain enough valid signatures to place the candidate on the ballot. The second one, which was filed for county auditor, the petition was incomplete. It appears that the candidate printed the petition on legal size paper versus letter size, and that caused some of the required information on the petition to not be contained on the petition, which includes the circulator statement. And I have that I can pass to the board.
Sherry, I think maybe, did she get, yeah. That's
I
okay.
I flipped. I'm sorry, on letter size versus legal. Sorry.
Corrections today, sorry.
Yes, no, appreciate it.
But I just want to be clear, so yeah, we received it in letter size, what it should be in legal
Legal,
size. Yeah,
correct.
okay, fair enough.
Thanks for that clarification, because quite a few people didn't understand that it was smarter and wiser to do it in a legal size form.
Yeah, it just, as long as the information is contained on the form, it could be of either size, but we
Okay.
Madam Chair, I think the problem here is that there is needed information that is not contained on these documents, correct?
that's correct. The circulator statement does not appear.
Incomplete, I understand. I didn't work with
Got it.
You'll be addressed.
I'm actually the candidate in question.
Invited up.
If there was any questions, I circulated all the petitions myself.
Could you, I'm sorry, sir. Could you please, since you're already there, identify yourself, your name?
My name is Rob Bogey,
Mm-hmm.
or Robert. Yes, I apologize. Yes, it was my mistake. My only claim is that it was, I made the mistake of not knowing that it was legal size and not letter size. And that's my fault.
Okay. And the other situation is some of the information is not there. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bogey.
The circulator signature, that part missing is a fatal flaw, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Sharon, I'm sorry.
So with those two additional questions that stand before the board, then I'll vote to reject the petitions for both Chandler and Bogey, given the insufficiencies.
Okay. Do we have a second? Any more
Second.
discussion?
I thought,
Second?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstaining? Anyone opposing? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Deputy Director Linzer will be presenting the Democratic County Central Committee.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Before proceeding to that, Mr. Bogey, we just took a vote on these petitions.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you understand we rejected them. Okay, good. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I kind of got the feeling he understood because he,
Yeah.
but seemed to give me that message through your body language.
Yeah, all
But
right.
thank you for doing that too.
All right, thank you. In your packet, you have a spreadsheet with a list of the candidates for the Democratic Party Central Committee. Central Committee candidates for the Democratic Party file Secretary of State Form 2M. It's just a declaration of candidacy. It does not contain petitions. The Excel spreadsheet in your packet has the candidates that the staff have determined are sufficient, and we recommend approving them for the ballot.
I'll move approval.
second?
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
And then also, right behind that spreadsheet, you have a list of candidates who staff found that their filings were insufficient. There are 3 candidates on the list. In all 3 cases, the candidate filed in a precinct in which they do not reside according to their voter registration, so we recommend rejecting these filings.
I'll move that we reject those.
And I second that.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Yes.
Sorry, Madam Chair, next we have the Republican County Central Committee petitions that were filed with the board. You have a spreadsheet in your packet entitled 2022 Republican County Central Committee Sufficient Petitions. Staff reviewed, found these petitions to be sufficient, and recommend certification. It is an 8-page document.
I'll move approval.
Second. I was going to return the favor for you, but
Oh, that's
second.
keep us moving, Joe. Sorry, buddy. I appreciate it.
Okay, again, the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And, I'd just like to commend the staff because, a lot of people wait till the last minute, and it was busier than a bee spinning honey in here on that last filing date. And there were some folks that were a little concerned, upset when they presented, but the explanation that I observed by the staff to them was very professional, and I just want to commend you all for being able to stay on top of everything at the last minute. It was a last rodeo, it felt like. All right.
Yes, then we also have a spreadsheet entitled 2022 Republican County Central Committee Insufficient Petitions. There's 32 candidates listed on that spreadsheet. Staff reviewed, found those to be insufficient. Candidates listed as numbers 1 through 14 did not contain the required number of valid signatures. Candidates numbered 15 through 23 post the declaration of candidacy, post dates the signatures of the electors on the petition. And then candidates listed 24 through 27 listed the wrong precinct on their petition. It's the precinct is different on the petition than what the candidate is registered to vote at. Candidate number 28 did not sign the declaration of candidacy. Candidate number 29, this petition was received in our Dropbox after the filing deadline. Candidate number 30, the circulator statement was left blank. Candidate number 31, the number of signatures witnessed by the circulator and the circulator statement was left blank, and that was the same problem with candidate listed as number 32. So staff recommends that these petitions cannot be certified to the ballot.
Any more discussion?
I move to reject the petitions.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
And there's 3 remaining Republican County Central Committee petitions that we're bringing to the board for further review. Again, those 3 are listed on a separate spreadsheet entitled Under Board Review. The first petition was received by the board, and I'd like to show this to you. Again, it appears that it was a petition that was printed on letter size, but the candidate actually affixed the part of the petition that was missing to the letter size petition before filing, and I can show that to the board. It was stapled. The petition, petition for candidate section was stapled to the rest of the petition prior to being filed with the board. And I believe legal counsel can weigh in on that.
Yeah, I'd like, because if it's stapled, it's not consistent.
There's a case out of Claremont County which said that if it's stapled together, it's one instrument, which I don't necessarily agree with the holding of the case. However, it is a precedent that I think we ought to follow in this case.
Which would allow us to accept it,
It
correct?
would allow you to accept it. I mean, it's confusing enough when this stuff happens, but, you know, there's a case out of Claremont County that basically says that once it's stapled together, it's one instrument. I think we had that discussion on another candidate earlier who actually withdrew and refiled.
I must admit, I don't really like that, but,
I don't either.
yeah.
Alex, I don't like
Yeah.
that happened, but
Yeah.
there's, like I said, there's a case out of Claremont County which basically says that it's okay.
You know,
I'm not comfortable. I agree with Alex on this one, but if there's already a case that's already been similar and it went through, then we
Yeah.
Well,
have to be consistent.
Yeah, then I'll make the motion to accept this petition.
I was talking to
I made a
Alex.
motion to
I'll
accept
second
this
that.
petition.
Of course, next time it will happen on a senatorial
Right.
petition.
Right. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
The remaining 2 candidate petitions listed on this spreadsheet, on both of these, in the declaration of candidacy section, the election date was left blank. And I believe council also can advise on these 2 petitions.
The Supreme Court has said it's not necessary to include the date if it's clear what the election is, so I think that's a substantial compliance issue and it should move forward.
I'll move approval of those two petitions for Caudill and Geiger.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
That concludes the certification of the partisan candidates to the May 3rd primary election ballot.
Thank you.
Next, on our agenda is certification of questions. Wait a minute, is this the final? No, questions and issues to the May 3rd primary election ballot.
Yes, you have a document in your packet entitled Hamilton County Questions and Issues List filed for the May 3rd, 2022 primary election. There is one tax levy that was filed by the Village of Cleves that we'd like to present to the board for consideration. I believe we also have the fiscal officer from the village that's here too. To summarize for the board, we received a resolution to place a tax levy on the ballot from the Village of Cleve on January 24th. There were some inconsistencies with those resolutions in that the millage in one place was listed as 1 mil, in another section it was listed as 6 mil. The years in which the tax should be levied and collected, there was some inconsistencies with that too. And the term, again, some inconsistencies in some places listed as 5 years and in other places listed as being continuous. The village refiled those resolutions on February 1st, basically correcting the millage from 1 mil to 6 mil, also correcting the time frame in which the levy shall be levied and collected. And then, but we still have one outstanding issue, and that is what the term of the levy, whether it's 5 years or a continuing period of time. I spoke to the fiscal officer, and they've since provided us with additional documentation, an affidavit from the fiscal officer, the certified copy of the meeting minutes from the village, and also new resolutions correcting what they described as typographical errors. And all of that information is in your packet.
I'd like to, since the fiscal officer is present, I'd like you, please, if you could step to the podium and share with us your name and who you represent and provide some clarification for us, please.
Thank you, Gwen.
Would you please turn?
My apologies. Thank you very much. My name is Jim Brett. I'm the fiscal officer for the Village of Cleves. I'm appointed there. I can't apologize enough for the mistakes with this. We have since figured out how this happened, but it doesn't really matter. It still happened, and we apologize for that. I think with the minutes that we provided, the intent of the village council is very clear. I can only ask that you allow us the opportunity to correct this. It boils down to our final draft wasn't proofread properly. And I would just appreciate
Ask a
it.
question of Mr. Brett. Mr. Brett, the council voted on a 6 mil 5-year levy, correct?
Correct.
All right, and the auditor approved a 5-year levy,
Correct.
correct, at 6 mils?
Correct.
All right. That's all I have.
The continuous part was from a previous version, and some of the council members had asked that we do this as a continuous, but we later were informed that we could not. I think most of us knew that, but when a council person asks you, you go do that research. So I just ask that you not penalize the entire Village of Cleves for basically my mistake.
Mr. Brett, there was a significant amount of discussion at the meeting as to whether or not it would be 6 mils or some other level, and also whether it would be continuous or for a 5-year period of time.
Correct. The village is, they had a levy that did not pass last November. So there was discussion, should we ask for less, should we ask for more to make up for the difference because they won't receive that money this year. The continuous part, gosh, I hate to say bad things about elected officials, because I am one, but, you know, they were looking for a way to do this and not have to go back to the voters every 5 years, which their counsel, our solicitor, told them they couldn't do that, but there was some insistence that we look into that further, and that's how that happened, so.
Madam Chair, just a couple questions of Mr. Stevenson. We've heard testimony here today. We have minutes in the record now that clarify the will of the village council, and that this is a 6 mil 5-year levy.
Mm-hmm.
Does that satisfy what we need in order to put this on the ballot?
I think it does, and I think we should avoid calling it a clarification, because what the minutes reflect is what was actually voted on, which is a 6 mil 5-year levy. Now, I can't say what's going to happen when we send the documentation up to the Secretary of State with the appropriate ballot language at 6 mils in 5 years, because the Secretary of State may decide there's too much confusion there to put it on the ballot, but that's his decision.
But you're recommending the board
I'm
pass it?
recommending that the board proceed with it, because I think the minutes clearly reflect that this is a 6 mil 5-year levy. And the documentation also from the auditor's office says the same thing.
Very good.
Well, you know, having been in a similar situation when I was an elected official and we had a somewhat a controversial process regarding a levy, I can understand. And as long as we are, it's appropriate for us to move forward, I'd like to then move forward and go ahead.
We will have done what we can do. I don't want there to be any confusion. It may still come back with problems from the Secretary of State once the ballot language goes up. But the bottom line is I think the minutes reflect that this was a 6 mil 5-year levy, and that's good enough.
Yeah, and also the minutes also says it was held on January 12th, so it was well before the filing deadline.
Yes.
Yes.
That's true.
With that, I'll move approval then of the Village of Cleves tax levy at 6 mils for 5 years.
Second.
Any more discussion? Mr. Britt, you understand the process, what we've just been discussing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Thank you very much. If I could just say one thing.
Yes.
You kind of alluded to your staff earlier. The staff here is great to work with. Everybody bends over backwards to be helpful, and you can be very proud of the people you have working for you. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you for that. We agree.
Amen. All right. Anything else, Sherry?
I think there are other questions.
I guess now we got to make the motion for the questions and issues,
Yes,
right?
yes, certify the
Yes.
remaining questions and
Sorry, I
issues to
thought
the
There
ballot.
aren't any other issues that we need to discuss from a board
No.
perspective. All right, so I'll move approval then of the balance of the school, county, city, and village township issues that are on the report that's dated 2/9/2022.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next.
Yes, next on the agenda is resolution for ballot printing contract 22-002. The board's contract for ballot printing expired in December of 2021. Staff issued an invitation to bid for the May primary election for both Election Day precinct ballots and absentee ballot and envelope printing and assembly. Staff received three bids. After reviewing the bids, staff has determined that the absentee ballot and envelope printing and assembly can be conducted more economically in-house for the May election, so we're recommending that we not award that portion of the bid and instead just conduct that process in-house as it's more economical. So then, after reviewing the remaining sections of the bid, staff's recommending that we award the bid for Election Day ballot printing to MCR, which staff has determined is the lowest responsible bidder. And that's, all of this is outlined in the resolution.
I've reviewed the resolution. I'll move approval of Resolution 22-002.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Yes, Madam Chair, under other business, there's one item that came to staff's attention yesterday, and that's in regards to a statewide petition for Treasurer of State. Copies of 3 of the pages of that petition are in your packet. We want to bring this to your attention as it appears there's an anomaly with these petitions. If you look at page 1, and we did make these copies in color, so it would be a little easier for you to see. But if you look at page 1 of the part petition, the front side of the petition, and compare it to page 2, the front side of page 2 of the petition, it appears to be an exact copy of page 1. The same signatures are listed at the bottom. This also goes for page 3. Oh, okay, yeah, legal counsel just pointed out, rather than page 1, we can refer to the Secretary of State's number that was issued on each part petition. So page 1 is 067939. Our page 2 is listed as Secretary of State's number 067940, and page 3 corresponding Secretary of State number is 067941. So 67940 and 67941, the front pages of these part petitions, again, seem to be an exact copy of what's indicated on 67939 on the front page. Also note, if you then compare the back pages of the part petitions, the back page of 67939 contains additional signatures. And the circulator indicates that 20 signatures on that particular page were circulated. I will note it's the same circulator in all 3 of these part petitions. If you look at the back of 67940, there are no signatures listed on the back of that page, and it's noted in the circulator statement that 10 signatures were witnessed. Same comparison with 67941. The back page, there's 1 additional signature listed on the back page when comparing to the original document, and the number listed, the number of signatures witnessed is listed as 11.
I think we're in an obligation to investigate any kind of anomaly that comes before us. I believe there's a long-standing resolution in that regard, right?
Yes, I just wanted to also note for the board that staff did not count or accept any of the signatures on these 3 part petitions.
It's interesting, things can happen, and I would like, I know, have we ever had a situation like this?
Yes.
And if I recall, when we did, we had the individual come in to the office and explain from their perspective, is that correct?
They come before the board, right?
Come before the board. My position here is that we should issue a subpoena, and just to be sure that they're compelled to attend. I think they should be advised of the right to counsel in case that, again, I'm not presuming anything, but I just think it's important that they know that they're being compelled by subpoena to offer testimony before the board, and we ought to investigate the anomaly. That's my view.
Got a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion then that we issue a subpoena to the circulator and set a date for an investigative hearing.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it the pleasure of the board to have that hearing at your next regularly scheduled board meeting of March 8th?
In the past, have we done that, or did we provide a special hearing based on?
I think you've done both in the past.
I'm fine doing it at the regular meeting. It doesn't matter. It won't take more than 10 minutes or something.
Okay. All right, then we'll schedule it for the next meeting on March the 8th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business, Sherry or
I,
Alex?
no, I don't believe so.
Well, as always, we have our representative from the Secretary of State's office here, Kenny. He's always, he's all over the state, and he keeps us updated on what's happening in that area. So we'd like to hear from you, your message from the Secretary of State. I see you have a very nice shirt on.
I was told by the director to wear something Bengals related.
BOE directive this time.
Exactly. Good morning, Kenny Henning with the Ohio Secretary of State's office. We are basically in full election mode with PEO recruitment around the state for the May primary. We're continuing to move forward with that. We've been busy this week with certification meetings, and we are anxiously awaiting what happens with whatever new maps are created and formed, and the candidates are waiting for that also. That's just been a major, it's been interesting this week with that. We also have had inquiries with statewide candidates, and we're still waiting on some advice for that, one candidate in particular. So it's been a busy week of certifications, and it has to be done by Monday, and I have 4 today and 4 Monday. So yeah, that's really all I have, but everything else is moving forward for the May primary. So other boards are starting their PEO recruitment, and yeah, we saw Sherry and Brian's letter that the association had sent out in regards to what they feel would not be good for Ohio voters. And yeah, I appreciated that, and we'll continue to move forward and be of assistance to the Board of Elections.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I just, again, always add, and like to continue adding, that you represent the Secretary of State's office very well.
Thank you.
We here in Hamilton County, because I know you have other counties that you cover, and you always make sure that you are here to give us an update, and I just really appreciate that, Ken.
Thank you. Sorry, I was a little late this morning. I had Claremont County at 8:30 this morning, and then, like I said, 2 more later today, so.
Better late than never.
Exactly, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? Any more questions?
Not from staff.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Oh, public comments. Oh, I thought we had everybody. Okay. Before we adjourn the meeting, sorry, thank you for catching up with me. And I was looking, please?
Are you going to?
Yes, sir. Yes, could you step forward, please, and share with us your name
All right.
and your area?
Of course.
that you live
I'm
in?
Tyson Butler, Tyson Quinn Butler. I just wanted to this is my first BOE meeting, first off, so this is exciting for me to be around the apparatus and seeing you guys go to work. So I appreciate you guys and what you guys are doing for the county. Because of the public comment, I wanted to make sure I was one of the petitions. I don't know if this has ever came up. Legal counsel can probably lend to that. But, you know, I was appointed precinct executive, precinct P in Anderson Township last year. I've been very active in precinct P in Anderson Township as the Republican. And essentially, I got into it because of the school boards and everything that I've been experiencing. So from that, I was able to garner a lot of people around me that were a really good support system for me. And so they appointed me to PE for Precinct P, where I live, 2602 Monchateau Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45244. That being said, now I get to go into my very first election cycle. Great, can't wait. We first get our petitions, declaration of candidacy. It's on letter, right? It's on letter-sized paper. I have 15 signatures on that. I learned that it's supposed to be on legal at that point. So once again, for somebody like myself that I don't do this for a living. I'm a real estate agent, real estate investor. I'm a father of 3, coach of my kids' football and sports teams. I'm busy. So essentially, yes, we ended up getting our petitions back and getting them on legal form. So I brought the copy of mine, and I have 51% of the maximum allowable signatures for my petition. Great. The front of it is filled out correctly, including the elector dates. Here's where it comes in. First time election cycle, I'm looking at the circulator statement, and I'm thinking like, that's got to be some kind of back office thing or something. Like, honestly, this got to be something that doesn't apply to me, because I've already pretty much said that, I could be liable for a felony of the 5th degree if I falsify any information. So I'm looking at that statement and not understanding, as a first timer, that it's something I should sign. So I don't know if there's any precedent to this, but essentially I don't know if there's ever been a candidate that's came up to the board and said, I, Tyson Butler, hereby say that I have 8 signatures on here. I walked them myself, shook hands, thanked them for their votes for our school board and everything in our previous election, and did it from there. But I would like to ask to have a motion to allow me to do what I do is in regards to being a U.S. citizen and fill this thing out and sign it and submit it for certification. And that's where I'm coming from.
Go ahead, Mr. Butler. It's after the filing, yes.
Mr. Butler, it's flat out in the law that you have to fill out the circulator statement. And you asked if those precedent, there's lots of it, sadly, through the years. That has to be done right, or else it's in the law, and we're all duty-bound to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, we reject incomplete petitions every year. Now, I'll take my Board of Elections hat off for a minute and tell you there's still an opportunity to be appointed, like in May, back to the spot. And if you can work with Dawson Smith and the rest of the crew out there, I'll be in. When I'm wearing that hat, I'm all in to try to help.
Amen.
Sound good?
I appreciate
All
that.
right.
And once again, thank you all
Yeah.
for all of your efforts. And
Mr. Butler, we have similar situations, and, don't feel defeated or that you lost.
I agree.
I tell all my fellow folks that, I'm taking my hat off too for a minute.
Yeah, amen.
That you haven't lost, but you've learned.
Absolutely.
So when you lose, don't feel like you didn't, it's a loss. It's a learning process.
Absolutely.
All right.
And I appreciate that. And that's why I was excited to come to the meeting and see you guys go to work. And I get this experience now. And if I do elevate, which I would anticipate and would want to elevate to the top of the party at some point, then I'm definitely going to be able to say, hey, this is how you fill out these things. This is what it looks like. This is what you do. So,
Mr. Butler, just to have some fun about this, even on the record,
Sure.
Mr. Pappas, who's involved in Anderson?
Andrew.
He too did not complete his petition properly and got rejected today as well. And he's experienced.
He's very experienced. He's very experienced. So appreciate y'all.
All right, let me ask a question. Hey, Alex, I don't know how it works on the Democratic side. We don't require the signatures, we just file the form. But do they have the opportunity to be a write-in
Yeah, he
candidate?
could, but we can appoint him too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as he's in, which he already indicated, he's in that same precinct. That's where he resides.
We'll work together to fix it.
All right.
Sounds like he's coming for your job. He said he can elevate to the top of the party.
I can have it.
Finally, a worthy chairman candidate.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Butler. I'd like to entertain now a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So
I'll
moved.
move to adjourn.
Did we,
Who said it first?
let's try it again. I know
I'll move
everybody-
to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? And as my minister says, none but the devil. This meeting is adjourned. And a happy hoo-day on Sunday.